I strongly recommend using a high viscosity super glue like the one in the picture, which is available from Amazon and from Toolstation and other places. It has gap filling properties, and it also allows repositioning for a good half a minute, sometimes a bit longer.
This is the time for gluing the headstocks and underframe into the floor. It's a good time to just to make sure that these corners here are clear and square, and making sure that the top of the headstock is free of any printing features that would stop it sitting. It needs to sit square against the end of the sole bar, and square on the curb rail, and square on the bottom of the floor at both ends, of course. So if there's anything remaining from the printing in here, or on the top, what is the top of the headstock, which will be turned over and put into this to glue onto here, I'm going to coat the whole of this with a good coating, because it's all part of the structure of the wagon. And I'm also going to coat the bottom of the underframe, and that will fit on. So I'm going to use the centerpiece to make sure everything's in the right place as well when it's all put together. Now you can see the glue in place, and so no glue on the ends of the underframe, because we want to be able to remove the axle guards if necessary. And there is a clearance, as you can see, on this designer wagon. It's a cutout like that. On the 16-foot wagons, it's actually clear all the way, because the way they fit together is different. Have your clamps ready. I've got 4 clamps, one for each side at each end, and the beauty of this glue is this high viscosity super glue. It does actually gap fill, so if there are any tiny gaps between the headstock and the floor, it'll fill them. And also, it doesn't need to be put in place in the first moment you've put it on, like the thin super glues. So no glue on here. I'm just using that to put them in place. We'll put that on after everything's assembled. By the way, on this assembly, the dress pieces for the curb rail and the sole bars are not fitted yet, so that's why there appears to be a bit more protrusion on this end here, because the dress pieces are about 1 millimeter thick, so it will actually bring it down to about flush. Depends on the wagon. Sometimes the wagons had it. In fact, the early diagram 305s, like this one, the earlier ones had a piece of the headstock extended for the drop side doors to bounce off, to stop them hitting the brake gear and any other kit that was at the bottom. So I don't think it was particularly successful, because the later wagons were modified to have a different arrangement. Anyway, so that's why there's a bit more of a gap. If you're looking at your wagon and it's got the dress pieces on, there won't be as much of a gap. It's still critical, obviously, to make sure that the headstock is fitted equally central, so that the outsides are the same amount on both sides of the wagon.